All right, YouTube, it is Mr. Mean coming at you this Wednesday evening at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. I have got Mr. Christoffer here on the channel with me, and we are going to talk some Black Void. As always, like and subscribe. Hit me up on Patreon. Help support the channel, $5 a month. Get you a cool color on my Discord channel and get you into free giveaways and drawings. And maybe guys like this guy will send out free copies. You never know. Way to put him on the spot. But Christoffer, tell us about yourself, sir.
Right. Well, as you said, my name is Christoffer, and I am the guy behind Black Void, which was released last year, kickstarted 2 years ago, and currently running a second Kickstarter. So big things going on.
Okay, so real quick about the Kickstarter. Let's promote that real quick. When does it end?
Yeah, it ends on November 14th.
Okay, so 10 days from now.
Yes, exactly.
And with the average, because I've looked at it and I've put links up on my channel and on my Discord. What's the basic pledge? What does that get you? What are you getting for your money?
There are two basic pledges, so to say. There's the digital one and there's the physical one. The digital one is... Oh, now I got to do the calculation because it's in Danish kroner.
Yeah. Well, that's
it's
okay.
It's about $14, I think. And then you get the main product, which is a supplement called Under Nebulous Skies, which is a 250-plus page character options gazetteer and the first part of the grand campaign. So a lot of good stuff there for everybody, both for players and for arbiters, as we call our GMs.
Yes.
So that's the basic digital, and then you have the basic physical, which is around, I think, around $36, something like that. And then you get the hardback version of the book, as well as the PDF. And both tiers get the soundtrack, which we're making for this release.
That sounds awesome. So I came across you quite unexpectedly, as some of my viewers will know. I became friends with Nasser, Super Beast, as he's known on his YouTube handle.
Yeah.
And he found my channel. I don't know how he found me. How does anybody find anybody on YouTube? Incessantly clicking on weird things.
Exactly.
YouTube is the only platform where you can go from looking at super hot chicks on motorcycles to cockroaches, all in the span of an hour. And how
like this, exactly.
Just like that. And so Nasser reached out to me and said, hey, I'm part of the Gulf Role Playing Consortium or community, and we're trying to bring role playing games to the Middle East and everything. Yep. And he was just super nice, super upfront. And I was like, hey, man, I'm looking at this game, Black Void. One of my other subscribers said I should check it out. That's really up my alley. And he just immediately went gonzo. And, he said, I got to get you in touch with Chris. You guys will hit it off and blah, blah, blah. And, Nasser, he's just a ball of energy.
Exactly.
And so I came to become friends with Andy Staples, who's your editor for the core book. Which, by the way, guys... if you're part of the Meanie Army, Mr. Mean wholly supports this RPG. Go out, check it out. You're going to love it. It is amazing. The art is fantastic. It's got a, dare I say, a slightly Arabic feel to the art, which I like. Of course, Babylonian times, of course, that aesthetic is very prevalent in the art. And it really, the cover alone is amazing. Everybody can... Go check it out, guys. I think it's retailing. I don't have the price on here, but I'm sure $40. Probably around $59.99 US. I know it's cheaper on Amazon, but
I'd rather people go to around $40-$45, but it might differ a little bit depending on where it is. Also with the shipping cost for the retailers and so on and so forth.
And support your local game store. Ask your favorite local game store to get it. Support them. Amazon's great, but I got this one on Amazon. It's all dinged up, and I'm really tired of buying books through Amazon and getting them in the mail mangled. But that's a rant for another time. There's a reason I'm called Mr. Mean, and you'll soon find out. But so we talked a little bit about the Kickstarter. It's ending on November 14th, 10 days from now. It's doing quite well. I believe it's already funded, correct?
No, not quite. We're at 80%, so we're inching closer. But I'm fairly confident we'll get there.
You're that midway point too. There's usually a big rush at the beginning, and then right at the end.
And you have the slump, and then you're
in that slump right now. So meanies, go out there, support this game, help Chris. He's got 16 babies at home to feed, so help him feed those kids.
Exactly.
it's 15, but we didn't want we want to exaggerate a little bit. Play on
any
people's
good story deserves embellishment, right?
That's right. Which is why you should read this. He's got his. Is that coffee or tea? Coffee. Good man. I've got my water.
Nice.
I'm a big water guy lately. I don't know why. I'm trying to lay off sodas.
It's good for you. You should stick to it.
I'm a big fat American, so I eat horribly and I don't exercise, and all I do is sit around and read role-playing games and play with. I have a 3.5-year-old, so I love him immensely.
Okay.
He's a blast. But all right, so we've got the Kickstarter. Of course, we've got the book that was successfully kickstarted, and it should be available from local retailers, correct?
Yes.
Your local game store is like maybe Diamond Distribution or Alliance. I'm not quite sure.
It's distributed globally by Modifius.
Okay.
So their distribution partners in the US has got it definitely. So if it's not, there you go.
Yeah.
So if it's not in your local gaming store, you can ask them to get it home, and they surely can.
Yes, because Modifius is great. Those guys are fantastic. I've talked to them a couple of times, and I've supported a lot of their games. I'm a huge fan of the 2D20 system.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm a huge Mutant Chronicles fan. I ran it back in the day. It's been through 3 iterations, and I've played all 3, and I've game mastered all 3. So it's obviously near and dear to my heart. But Black Void, how did this come about? Give me the background.
Right. Well, it's been a long time in the making, actually. I think all in all, it probably started maybe 15 or 18 years ago, to be quite honest with you. And it's just been, little ideas sort of building on top of each other, and then all of a sudden just sort of coming together to be what Black Void is today. And it started sort of as just a setting, because I pretty much only do homebrews, and have done ever since I started playing. And then, after a certain while, it just sort of got out of what really made sense for AD&D and so on, what I was playing back at the time. So I thought, well, maybe I should just, develop a system to really sort of support the weirdness that is in there that doesn't really quite fit into any of the tropes that are supported by the other games. Because, you could do house rules and so on, but at some point you do so many house rules that you're not really doing the original.
Yeah, you're not playing AD&D anymore. You're playing
exactly.
Something
So
else.
I thought, why don't I do something that supports how I want to run a game? Focus on the narrative, focus on the drama, focus on the telling of stories, giving player agency, and so on and so forth. Right. So that's what I tried to do. But the main thing was the setting. I mean, that's what really drives it. I wanted to do something that's different from anything that at least I've seen out there, and to sort of bring back the wonder, if you know what I mean. Because with all the great fantasy games you have out there, there's a lot of tropes. Everybody knows what an orc is, everybody knows what an elf is, everybody knows what a goblin is, and so on and so forth. But I wanted to sort of go back to when I started doing role-playing game, when I didn't know what anything, so that everything was like, whoa, what's going on here,
It was magical.
So that's what I wanted to do, but at the same time retain a little bit of familiarity, which is why I sort of based it on ancient Earth cultures. So you have it, you have your jinns and you have your Anunnakis and your ghouls, the original version, not the new one.
Right.
So there is a bit of familiarity, but everything is set in this cosmos that's sort of weird and out there. So you really walk around and discover things and explore things. It's not like what you see in a lot of other games where it's like trope-ish and so on and so forth. Not to put anything down, because these games do that stuff wonderfully, but that's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to bring something new to the table,
Right. Well, I like that you start off first by it's not a GM, it's an arbiter. I think that's really cool. I love the aesthetics of the book. I love the layout. I mean, the art really emphasizes the kind of, I hate to say it, but the darkness of the book. It's like this is you are in a shitstorm and you're crawling your way out of it, and you got to do the best you can. And unfortunately, you're going to step on the backs of the people below you. But if you want to survive, if you want to thrive, that's kind of what you have to do. And I like that because too many games are the goody two shoes. D&D is a fine game, but I've been quoted and has said many times that Mr. Mean is not a fan of D&D, and I'm not.
Right.
D&D is a great game. I don't knock it. If you enjoy playing it, then that is all. I'm playing in 2 different campaigns right now virtually with my friends back in California, but I'm not playing for the game. I'm playing for my friends, because I get to hang out with them for 2 hours. And that is, I miss them, they're like family to me. So we could be playing Tiddlywinks virtually, and I would be okay with that as long as I got to hang out with them. So when a game system comes across like this, and an aesthetic that is clearly unique and innovative, and I'm not saying that to pander. I've already got my free copy, so I don't even have to say that. But it's interesting, and I was like, I like I said, I reached out to NASA, and I was like, I would love to talk to Chris about this, and it's content for the channel, which always helps out, and give you a little publicity, because even bad press is still press, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So
I'm really appreciative about that.
So going back,
give me bad press. Go on.
I can't though. That's the problem. I'm telling you, I got the GM screen and I ordered it off of, I believe, eBay.
Okay.
And it came in really good shape. And I was I didn't want to jump into this too soon, but I'm going to, because I'm going to do a full review of it, by the way, because that's what my channel is all about. But you really can't tell everybody watching. But it's not your standard 8.5 by 11 portrait, and it's definitely not landscape, and it's a bizarre size, man. What were you smoking when and whatever you were smoking, you need to share. Okay, I'm just gonna say,
I know.
Because it is a cool size.
A bit out of the ordinary. Yeah, it works, doesn't it?
Yeah, I've seen those. Like, have you seen? I don't know if you've trolled YouTube enough, but you can see the people that make GM screens out of like CD jewel cases.
Yeah.
Have you seen that? And I thought that's what this reminds me of. But I'm 53 years old. I'm blind. My eyesight is horrible. So that's too small for me. I can't use that. But then an 8.5 by 11 landscape or portrait GM screen sometimes is either too long if it's landscape, and if it's portrait, it's too tall, right? And you can't see your player. This is, I hate to say it, man, this is just right. You nailed it. These other game designers
love to say it.
These other game designers need to take a hint, because that's what it is folded up. I mean, and it's a little bit wider than the core book.
In a bag. I mean, and that was one of the things
and then the little arbiters.
Portrait ones are too tall, and you're sitting like you're behind the fortress wall, and you lose your contact with your players, right?
Right.
So I knew I didn't want that. And the landscape, like you said, tend to be too wide, so it gets all bungled up and it can't fit on the table, and it's more cumbersome than any help, really. So I thought, I tried different sizes, tried to see what worked, and one of the things that I did was I tried to bring it on cons, where you have to sit at tables of all sizes and so on and so forth. So I wanted something that was compact but still did the job, but didn't make you feel sort of disengaged from your players. Yeah. And that's sort of how this size came to be.
It's excellent.
It encompasses what it has to. So yeah.
It's amazing. I think a lot of game designers need to take a look at that and be cognizant of it and say, wow, this is a cool aesthetic. Because it's something as simple as that can make the difference in the world. Because for those that don't know, GMing is really hard. But it's also very rewarding, right? I'm assuming you're a GM because you created this in your own, from your own AD game.
I'm mostly a GM. I mean, I only got to play Black Void as a player last night, to be honest with you. I don't know why people are afraid to have me as a player in my own game. I don't know why. That's weird.
Did you die?
I didn't die. It was a one shot, and we had to end early because it became longer than it was supposed to. So we're gonna continue at some point. But no, I didn't die. Yeah, and I had so much fun actually, because it's I don't know if weird is the right word, but it is sort of odd to be at the receiving end of something you made yourself.
Yeah. Surreal.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then when people ask questions about the system, and I'm like, no, I'm not going to answer because I'm not the arbiter. I'm just the player.
Yeah, never step on their toes, right?
Exactly.
Co-GMs are fine if they're asked for, right? Exactly. But if the GM didn't ask you to help with the rules, then don't volunteer. I think that's a big thing. I'm typically a GM. I very rarely am a player, and that's because, well, I've got a big mouth and I can't shut up. But I'm an attention hog. That's the whole reason I started my channel. I needed a creative outlet.
That's fair enough.
Yeah, I was suffering a little PTSD. I did the Desert Storm thing. I served my country, and I was in law enforcement before that. And so, I had some emotional issues. And my greatest hobby, my greatest love, besides my family, which I adore dearly, is role-playing games. And so I thought, wow, I need a creative outlet. I need some way to let this out of me. What's the greatest way that I can do it where it doesn't hurt anybody, right? Yeah. Or it doesn't hurt me. And it gets these emotions and it gives me a chance to let this creativeness out. And GMing, I went back to it. I had gone off of RPGs for a long time and came back to them. And you can see the glorious shelf of doom. That's 8 feet tall, 5 feet wide. And I don't think I can shove too much more in there.
Probably not. We need to make a bit of space for future Black Void beaches, but other than that, it's good.
Well said, sir. Well said. Nice marketing. I like it. So I'm assuming when you were doing your AD&D that you probably owned a copy, and correct me if I'm wrong, but something tells me you owned a copy of Al-Qadim.
I do, but I never played Al-Qadim.
But it looks like it influenced this so much.
I know, but actually, if you look closer, it's more influenced by Planescape than Al-Qadim.
Yes. Yeah, I'll give you that. Totally.
And probably more Dark Sun than Al-Qadim as well.
Really?
Yeah. The grittiness and the and that sort of thing. Not so much the setting, but the feel and the ambience of it.
Yeah. The setting is all its own. The setting is all its own. I don't look at it and go, oh, that's game X. That doesn't happen. Exactly. One other game that really does that for me is Coriolis.
Yes, I've never played Coriolis, but I've heard.
I'll have to run it for you sometime.
That'd be great. I'd love to try.
I'm telling you, when I picked this up, I had such the first thing I thought of was Coriolis. I was like, man, if these two came together, that would be amazing. Because Coriolis is the normal everyday stuff, but when you travel through space, it's the things in the void that come out and get you and what happens there. So kind of, where the void is already out there, it's everywhere, and you're trying to, survive and make a better life for yourself.
Exactly.
So with going back to the core book, the artist, how did you know artist, or did you just go out and look on, online? Right. Because it has a very distinct feel.
One of them is actually the little brother of a friend of mine.
That's what happens when you stand up.
Exactly. We fell into the void.
It's okay. There's a gin there to catch me.
Exactly. Perfect.
Probably don't want that though.
Well, some of them are nice.
With a moniker like Mr. Mean, do you think a nice one's going to get me? Probably not.
I'm the arbiter,
technical difficulties here, because I am all caught up. There we go. Finally.
There we are.
Sorry about that. Well, I was trying to stand up. I have a sit-to-stand desk.
Oh, yeah.
So
that's good.
I got beat there.
Yeah.
All right. So the artist.
Yeah. So like I said, one is actually the little brother of a friend of mine. And I knew he was doing art, so I reached out to him. And I think actually all the others I stumbled across randomly either on Instagram or on DeviantArt, or maybe on ArtStation. And then in most cases, I just reached out and said, I really like your style. I'm looking to do this game. Would you be interested in working with me? Yada yada yada. And some worked out and some didn't, but I managed to get a brilliant number of I call them core artists.
Yeah.
That really, we've developed together. And their inspiration has brought a lot to the game as well. What I like to do as well is be quite loose and just say, I need a monster, or I need an esoteric being, or I need an alien. What can you come up with? And just basically let them run loose, because that inspires me, because, one person has only so much creativity. So I like to bring in other ways of thinking, and they've definitely contributed to it.
And,
and most of the original artists are working on Nebula's Skies as well. So
that was my next question. I was hoping that you were going to be able to, because that's really what's hard sometimes, is carrying artists from book to book.
And
one thing that kills the art is continuity, the aesthetic style.
Yes.
And it looks like you've got it in spades.
Luckily, most of them are still with me. And I'm even bringing on a couple of new ones that are bringing some new cool aspects as well. So we're retaining the core and the framework, but we're expanding the scope a little as well.
You can't ask for more than that, can you?
No, it's like a dream come true, right?
Yeah, and it's I'm really good friends with Jay from Feral Games Inc., who does a lot of interesting RPGs. Very, very creative guy, and that's been his hardest thing is to get good art, and he's managed to get some amazing art, but then he runs into some problems, and it's just, I mean, it makes you pull your hair out, and people don't understand that things like this is your baby. This is akin to having a child, right? You've spent years on this. That's personal.
My fourth child right there.
Yeah, and it's personal to you, and so every little it tends to be a meticulous endeavor. Everything has to be perfect, and there's a point where you have to step back and go, it's perfect enough. And a lot of creative types don't have that ability.
No, that's the difficult bit.
That's the difference between a game designer and a fan writer. Someone who writes fan fiction for fun, or because they like telling this great story that never ends, as opposed to a game designer who conceives an idea, conceptualizes it and brings it to fruition, which is what you have done in spades, and a good job you have done, sir.
Thank you.
And I'm telling you, man, I'm hooked. I can't wait.
I'm so happy to hear that.
I can't wait to get into a game and or run a game. I would like to play a game first to kind of get a feel how other people see the world. Right. Because every GM tells the story differently. You can get the same story, but it's always different,
And that's one of the reasons I enjoy watching actual plays with other people running it, because, to see how do they approach it? What is their angle on it? What are they, what tickles their fancy, and so on and so forth? Because it might be leagues away from how I would have done it, but that's what makes it interesting as well. I remember when I just put it out there, this is like you said, releasing my baby onto the world, and then seeing where will people take it, and I really enjoy seeing that, which is also why it was fantastic getting to be a player yesterday, just to see, to see what is his vision of what I put out there, and his vision was awesome.
Yeah, and sometimes it doesn't jive, right? I ran Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay for years, and I never really played it. I was always the GM, and then I got to sit in on a game online a couple of years ago on Roll20, and I went, this dingleberry doesn't get it. That's not how the game is. And I was just, it was the longest 2 hours of my life. Yeah, and it was, and then, but in all fairness, I sat back and then I said, That's his interpretation. It's not mine. He didn't ask
Yeah.
me for mine. And so I had to like kick back and think of it. And then I went,
Yeah.
well, at the end of the day, he did tell a good story. I was engaged by the story.
Mm-hmm.
He just chose to interpret the world a little bit differently than I did.
Right.
And there's nothing wrong with that. You know,
No, it's all subject to interpretation, and that is, as a creator, one of the probably the most difficult things, but it's also one of the most enjoyable things at the same time, because one of the things that I really enjoy is to see somebody who not only gets my vision, but who adds on top of it and takes it in directions I would never have thought of, and that I'm like blown away by. And I see that quite regularly, to be honest.
Yeah, that's
because
pretty awesome.
I think somehow this tickles people's creativity. So you see stuff where you're like, I didn't think of that. That's amazing. Why didn't I think of that?
Notebook. Kind of thing. Write it down. Write it down.
Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna steal that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the creative process, and it should be ever evolving, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And I can only imagine that between those 2 ears of yours, there is so many things churning in there for the next book, right? And then the next book. Bit. Yeah. Well, there has to be. You're a creator.
Yeah.
You don't. Nobody makes one thing and then stops.
No,
especially if it's well received.
Yeah, and it's a good thing and it's a bad thing as well, because you want to keep, not on the straight and narrow, but you want to keep a certain continuance, and you want to make sure that you finish one project before you move on to the next.
Thank you. Yes,
and that's
very much true.
That's a bit of a problem I have at the moment, because there's already another game kind of brewing, which occasionally takes over a little bit. Like, no, stay back. I'm doing this thing now.
I got to finish this.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's hard. I mean, especially when you're creative. One of my viewers posted on. I had done a review of Rifts by Savage Worlds.
Yes,
and fantastic game. But they released, they released a new rule set, which made the old rule set kind of obsolete, and then they redid the original Rifts set that they put out. But then they also expanded upon it with like 3 more new books. And they did a big Kickstarter, and it was very successful. And I didn't back it. And this person was complaining about how they felt like, they already soaked so much money into the first edition, and now they've got it. They feel like they have to go and rebuy it. And my comment to them was, no, you don't. If you're happy with running with what you have,
just stick with it.
Stick with it,
Yeah, for sure.
If you get to the point where you're like, oh, okay, well, now I want to do this, and you don't feel like homebrewing it, because they give you the basic rules in the book on how to do that, because the Palladium side of the game has so much, product out there. There's, years and years worth of material. So it's like, no one's twisting. But what I think a lot of people forget is it's a business at the end of the day, right?
Yeah.
You make books to make money so that you can make the next book. Now, if you're independently wealthy, or it is kind of a hobby thing, maybe Black Void's the only game you put out and you're happy with that. And maybe you'll do this Kickstarter and maybe one other. I don't think so. I don't think you're that kind of guy. I think there's going to be something else.
I can't stop myself. I think it's probably going to go on. But I've nobody said I was ever a great businessman. So
yeah, but for you as a small press publisher, though, Kickstarter is a wonderful, wonderful opportunity for you to get it out there.
It is, but it's getting harder, to be honest, because there's Kickstarter is definitely not what it used to be. It's been professionalized, which I think is both good and bad.
Yeah.
But I also think that a lot of the, let's say, the big publishers use it as a sales channel and as a marketing channel,
pre-order channel.
I'm
totally against that, by the way. I did a whole rant on my channel.
Yeah.
Monty Cook is a prime example.
I'm not against it per se, but I'm against the fact that it sometimes drowns out the creative projects that are out there, so that they can't get the attention that maybe they deserve. And I think people are getting Kickstarter fatigue as well, to a certain extent.
Well, there's a lot of people that get burned on it too, like board games and computer games.
How can they see who's the good guys and who's the bad guys?
Especially if you're just starting out, right? If it's your first Kickstarter and you're putting out, your magnum opus, and you've, in your mind, it's this greatest thing since sliced bread, and you just need a little capital to get it, production, but nobody's ever heard of it. Yeah. And then you've got Ulysses Spiel out here putting out their 17th Kickstarter for, The Dark Eye, which is going to sell hundreds of thousands. Mm-hmm. Where does that, people go, well, I've never heard of that, but then, and I'm with you. I agree. I'm not opposed to it because it is capitalism. It is great. It's an easy way for them to make money. But I think we as the buying public need to use our noggin and say, hey, that game I'm going to be able to go pick off of a shelf in my local game store or off of Amazon. But this game, I may not be able to do that if I don't back it. And so I think we need to vote smart with our dollars.
Exactly. But
support the indie publishers.
Yeah, but I think luckily a lot of gamers are kind of discerning connoisseurs as well.
Yes.
Not
everyone has this.
Yeah, exactly. We tend to spend way too much money on stuff. But I think
what are you saying?
A lot. I don't know. It's weird, right? But it's great as a channel to really give small publishers like me a fighting chance to actually get out there. And I've definitely been one of the fortunate ones, I have to say. But a lot of work and effort has been put into it as well, and continues to be put into it, because Kickstarters are not easy, and they're not getting any easier because there's so many of them as well. But it's a great vehicle, and I think it's I think it's great for the industry, but it's not easy. I have to tell you,
it's hard work, and
it's a lot of work.
You're doing your own marketing. I mean, you're doing everything pretty much yourself. You may have a small group of people that are helping you, but for that initial Kickstarter, when you did the original core rule book, I got to say that was probably 90% all on your shoulders, right?
Probably 97, to be honest.
Legitimately so. I mean, it's work. And if it succeeds or fails, it's kind of on you.
Yeah, and I didn't sleep a lot for those 30 days, I have to tell you.
I can imagine.
And we just had a baby, I think 4 months prior, so that didn't really help any either. But it was fun times. Thank you. Well, that was number 3. So
you're an old hat. You're like me. This is my third one, but I think I'm a little older than you.
A little bit.
Andy was like, damn, you're older than me. Andy's only 52, so I'm like, well, yeah.
Well, I'm turning 40 here in December, so
that's so cute.
Yeah, I know. I'm just a baby.
You don't even have any gray in your beard. Stop it. You look great.
But Kickstarters they're great, but they're a lot of work, and they're more like kick finishers now rather than Kickstarters. I mean, you have to be able to showcase what the final product is going to look like.
Right.
But the good thing for me is I have some amazing artists that can really, showcase their stuff.
You have amazing artists.
And fortunately enough, I have the backing of them and the support of them to really do stuff before it's funded.
Yeah.
So, but obviously I hope the money comes in, because that means that we can put out the product that I want it to be,
Right.
So that's what it's all about. And I want to make bigger and better things. So I want it to look even more cool than the core rulebook. And I want it to have all the bits and bobs that are supposed to go into a Black Void product.
Yeah. Well, you're definitely, I mean, the GM screen, if it's any sign of things to come, the GM screen is amazing. I like the Arbiter's little handbook there. I thought that was, I mean, it wasn't too much. It was just enough to give you the core stuff that you need. That's not necessarily, it was perfect. I mean, and it's a, I just kind of glanced through it and I went, oh, okay, well, there's where that is. And the GM screen's laid out very well. And of course the art is fantastic on it, and the layout. And, like I said, I'm these days, as you said earlier, a discerning gamer. I have become very much a fan of, if I flip through the book and it doesn't grab me in the first 10 seconds,
Yeah.
Probably never going to look at it again.
I know where you're coming from.
That's sad to say, because there's some really good games out there.
Yeah, but I think one of the things about bringing a new game to the table as well is you really have to captivate and showcase what this is all about. Because if you have to read 100 pages before you catch the gist of it, it's not gonna cut it, you know. And I'm an auditive guy, but I'm a visual guy as well, which is why there's a soundtrack. But the book itself is also the way it is actually.
Yeah.
So I want to have something that as soon as you look at it, you're like, I actually want to read what the words are. You know what I mean? And so that's one of the things, and that's one of the things that I enjoy the most, to be honest, is doing the layout. You know, when I've done a page that just hits the spot, I'm like, yes, this is why I'm doing this stuff.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
The drawback of that is that it takes forever.
Yeah, and you're a one-man shop for the most part.
Well, the thing is, now I have finally gotten a graphic designer. So what happens is I do the basic layout to show him what I want it to look like, and then I send it to him, and then he works on it, and then it's more of a collaboration now. Right. But the core book, that was all me, and that takes so long, because also I'm not a trained graphic designer. I had I think one course of InDesign when I was in university, and that's it. The rest is self-taught. Yeah. So obviously it probably took like 20 times longer than it's supposed to, but it looks exactly how I want it to.
And it was a learning process too. I mean, you probably learned a whole heck of a lot from doing that.
I learned so much, and now
that is just going to make it better for the next book.
It makes it better and makes it quicker as well.
Right.
Which is why I think, you know, when I look at the layout I've done for Under Nebulous Skies, to me, it's a lot better than the core rulebook. And also when the stuff that comes out of Into the Oblivious Depths, which is like this close to being finished, which is set to release here in either December or January probably, that's a step forward as well. So like I said before, the framework and the ambience is the same, but there are just details that have gotten, you know, just slightly better, just to improve the overall thing.
There's nothing wrong with that. I mean,
because there's like, and that's the thing with being creative. I see all the flaws, because I know what it's supposed to look like in here.
Right.
But people who get it, obviously, they don't know that, because they don't know exactly what I wanted it to look like.
Yeah, they look at it and go, "Oh my God, that's gorgeous," you know. And then you're going, "No, there's this part, and there's this."
Exactly.
Yeah. I'm right there with you. I paint miniatures.
Yes, so do I.
Warhammer fantasy roleplay miniatures, and
I do 40K.
I do fantasy. I'm a Nurgle, big Nurgle guy, and I paint the miniatures, and my friends go, "Oh my God, that's amazing! That looks great!" And I'm going, "Oh no, that's crap, dude." I totally get where you're coming from.
Yeah. I do Slanesh, but it's 40K, so we're on wavelength.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I love Nurgle. Papa Nurgle is my fan. Warcry is my game. I've yet to play a game, but I'm building up my forces, and I'm very excited. Cool. And I love painting. It's another stress relief for me. So again, that creative outlet. Where I just find it's uber relaxing. I just got an airbrush, totally excited about that.
Nice.
Used it a couple times and really like what it's doing. So it's so we've got the Kickstarter. We've got the 2 books coming from the Kickstarter. I saw now this is something I didn't know, and I didn't see it on the website, and I could have just missed it. But you have dice.
I do.
Yeah, so the D12, D6, and a D4. Yeah. I didn't see those. No, so I'm definitely going to have to see. Yeah, I'm going to have to definitely see if I can get a pack of those. See if I can order them online. And definitely, because I like to have the dice. Say again?
The Modifia's web shop has them.
Right, and I would get them. I wait until Modifia's does their sales because they're across the pond. So the shipping is outrageous.
Yeah. That's true. They're 15% off right now.
Right, which is why I may just go ahead and order them. Unfortunately, I have to take a train ride down south to visit my in-laws. Their health is bad, and they just had major hurricanes down there. So my wife and I are going to take our 3-year-old so he can see his grandparents, before they're in their 80s. So they may not be here much longer. So we want him to be able to see them and bond with them and stuff like that. So that's the priority. That's where all the money's going right now. But as soon as that's done,
of course, family comes first.
Always. And my wife is not a gamer, and she puts up.
Neither is mine.
I know. I wish she was. I tried to teach her how to play Pathfinder years ago when we first got together, and she was like, "Nope."
Yep.
I have to think at work. I'm not coming home and doing it.
Exactly.
So
you do your thing, and that's fine. But no,
and she loves the miniatures. Like she's, I show them what they look like on the sprue, and then once I put them all together and I paint them, and she's like, "Oh my god, that's amazing!" So that's I get support, and she's always like
the appreciation is there, which is good.
Yeah, she'll go. She's the hostess with the mostest when we run games. She'll go get pizza and make sure everybody's got drinks and stuff. Yeah, so she's very very complimentary in the hostess category. So it makes and my friends like coming over to run games because she makes treats. So yeah, Rice Krispie treats is a big one around.
They don't come from the game; they come for the treats.
They come for the. Okay, I'll take it. They keep coming back.
Now I'm Mr. Mean.
Yeah, I'll take it, man. If you can dish it out, you got to be able to take it, right?
Yeah, that's true.
That is very true. So, are we? And you've got your own Discord channel, right?
Yep. Blank White Games.
You're active on there because I've been chatting with you on there.
Yeah, I'm there pretty much 24/7, unfortunately, except when I'm sleeping. So
but that's a good thing. You're active in your own community. That's important.
I am, and I just can't help myself. I'm. It's as soon as I see somebody post, and they're like, is this something I can help with, or is this something that I should get involved with? Which is, it's good fun, and I get a lot from it as well. Seeing people interact with what I do is one of the reasons I'm doing it. I want to interact with the people that want to interact with me. So definitely
like minds, right? Like minds.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Like I said, you were very forthcoming when I reached out to you. So thank you. It was much appreciated, and giving me some advice on character creation and stuff, and pointing me in and the community over there is very nice. So for those that are willing to check it out, Discord's become like, remember, you're old enough to remember the BBSs.
Yes.
So it's, Discord is the new BBS,
Yeah.
And I think it's great. I'm very active on my channel. I try to be anyway. And I don't even have moderators. I'm lucky enough to have just an awesome community. Nasser,
same here.
Chugo,
don't need
Chupa, all those guys. I've never had to ban anybody. I've never had to, and I've been up over almost 2 years now on Discord and never had any problems. So I'm grateful. A big shout out to all my meanies. They are awesome. Go check out the Black Void. I did put a link tonight to the current Kickstarter. So hopefully that'll drive a little traffic your way. I know a couple of the guys said they were going to pick it up. So
nice.
Yeah, that's always good, man. That's the point of it, right? Everybody helping everybody. It's a great. This is the only community. Oop, I lost him. And never fear, guys. He said this would happen. Now you got to stare at my big ugly mug.
Hang on, where are we?
Yeah, you're there. You're back. There we go. I was gonna.
It falls out every.
Yeah, and you had warned me, and so it's no big deal.
Yeah, exactly.
I really think that this is one of the greatest communities, the social experiment of our age, role-playing games. It doesn't matter if you're gay, if you're straight, if you're a lesbian, if you're transgender. It doesn't matter if you're black, white, green, or yellow.
Exactly.
People just want to play games.
Yeah, and there's a sense of community across all the boundaries that are normally there. Maybe across the world. I mean. In my regular group, we have a guy sitting in Australia, one in Taiwan, and one in the US. And we're just connecting over this thing, and it's brilliant. And, when I was starting out, there was a lot of questions I had, and I reached out to people from the industry that I knew had done this before me, not expecting to get anything in return, but everybody was just so friendly and really helpful, and like, we're doing it this way. Maybe you could try this and avoid that, but do this and so on and so forth. And people that are technically competitors, but they're not at all. They're acting like colleagues because it works as a great community, you know.
And I mean, I don't know about you. I see you've got a couple different game books back there on your shelf as well, you know.
Well, it's the real shelf is the one below it.
Yeah, but there's a lot of different stuff there. It's not just one game, right?
No,
it's not just one game. I mean, exactly. Well, that's what I'm saying though. There's room. There's a slice of the pie. The pie is big enough that everybody can have a slice.
Exactly, and this is the tip of the iceberg. My wife won't let me keep any more in there because she uses this office.
I'm confined to this room. If there's a book out there, it's like you need to get that out of here. Yes, ma'am.
Exactly.
You know, so I totally understand. Where
I mean, you want to try a lot of different things as well, and you want to get inspired by. I mean, I started with D&D like pretty much anybody else, but then it expanded, and I got into World of Darkness, Call of Cthulhu, GURPS, and all of this stuff as well. And there's so much great stuff out there, and there's a lot of, and all the independents, they dare to think outside the box because they're not reliant necessarily on it being a huge commercial success. So they get to push the envelope. Or they let themselves push the envelope. And those are generally the more interesting games. They might not be perfectly executed. They might not have huge budget for art and so on and so forth. But the creativity is there, and you can feel it. And that's really cool. And that's, again, where a Kickstarter comes in, because they actually get a mouthpiece. They get a chance to actually
exposure.
To get some exposure. Exactly.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of saying that there's very few terrible RPGs. There's bad GMs.
True.
But there's very few terrible. And even with the bad GMs, if you're sitting around a table with people and you're enjoying what you're doing, then that's not a bad GM. The bottom line is if you're we come to do this for fun. At the end of the day, it's all about fun. And if you have some medium of fun, then you have succeeded. Whether you're a player or a GM, or the wife or the husband being a hostess, and that's what it's all about. And I think that's part of what makes this a great community.
Exactly, because and people all show up with the same intent, because they're investing time and money into this. I mean, if it didn't cost them anything, it might be different. But the fact that you want to invest your time and money into it means that you also want to get something out of it. And whatever you put in, you also get out of it. So you want to contribute, I guess is the proper word.
One of my players had the greatest saying. He said, one of my players, because I was going through that crisis of the campaign that I was running, Pathfinder was kind of stalling, and I was getting a little burnt out, and I wanted to run something different. And he said, he said to me, he looked me right in the eyes. He said, "Dude, I don't give a shit what you run. Just run something. I'll show up. I'll show up."
Yeah,
and that was
that's brilliant.
Yeah, they want to play whatever. We could be playing, checkers, and they would come up and play. So
exactly.
It's people like you that give people like me stuff to do. So I thank you for that. And I really want you to keep expounding upon this world and keep putting out books.
Gonna do that.
Please. We have babbled for about an hour. Is there anything else you'd like to point out or point people to?
We've gone over the Kickstarter. Like we just briefly touched upon, the Kickstarter is under Nebulous Skies. But if you back, you can get the add-on, which is Into the Oblivious Depths, which is a pre-launch of a 130-page adventure coming out either late 2020 or early 2021. So that's a little bit for backers. So they get a pre-launch of a pre-launch PDF of that. Taste. It's fully done. Well, it will be done later this week because we're just tweaking the final stuff on the layout. But you actually get a 130-page adventure, which is written by Crystal Mazur, if you know her, or it's co-written with her and me. It's her idea. Which is a little bit, you get to explore the cosmos more than you have in previous adventures. So that's really, really cool.
Is there a tier in the current Kickstarter that allows people that don't have the current book to order it? Is that an option?
No, the way it's done is that it's discounted across Modiphius and Drive-Thru RPG for the duration of the Kickstarter.
Oh,
so
okay. Well, there's the incentive right there. Okay, good.
Yeah, so there's
people need to know
15%
that.
off on all Black Void stuff for the duration of the Kickstarter.
Awesome.
But I learned in the last one that I have to keep it simple because I'm pretty much a one-man band still. So I have to, in order for me to be able to put out and complete the deadlines, I need to keep it a little bit simple. So I thought the best way to do it is to do the discount on Modiphius and Drive-Thru RPG, so you still get the added benefit, but it's separate from the Kickstarter.
That's awesome. And I have an affiliate program. Most of my followers know it. So if you go through Drive-Thru RPG, you can use my affiliate link, which will be down in the doobly-doo. And you can help out the show, and you can help out Chris. So and you get a cool game. This is a win-win all the way around.
Win. Everybody wins.
That's right. Winner, chicken dinner.
Exactly.
How has it been working with Chris Bunch and the Modiphius guys?
Great. Yeah. I mean, the fact that even happened was amazing for me, you know? And it's kind of a funny story because when I did the first Kickstarter, like most people do when they do their first one, is they sit and they look at all the backers when they come in, like, yay, thank you, Bob, thank you, John, thank you, Jennifer, kind of thing, you know? And then I noticed that one of them had the @modiphius.com handle. And I had been considering, you know, getting a distributor to really sort of take it to the next level. And when I saw that, I thought, could it be the Modiphius? So I sent him a mail and said, I noticed this and that. You wouldn't happen to be working for the Modiphius, would you? And Lloyd, who it was,
Lloyd is awesome. I love Lloyd.
Yeah, he's amazing. And he's like, yeah. And he was actually doing an actual play that it's on YouTube still. So he was playing Black. And I was like, whoa, that's really, really cool. So listen, if I were, you know, in the market for a distribution deal, who would I need to talk to?
And Lloyd said, wait, let me tell you.
Exactly. Actually, you know what he did? He said, yeah, you need to reach out to Chris Birch. Here's his email. He's waiting for an email from you. And I was like,
awesome.
What?
And he's such a nice guy.
He is. And then, you know, I was kind of starstruck and I was like, do I dare follow up on this? Is he just having me on kind of thing, you know? So I think it probably took me 4 days to compose that email because I wanted every word to be perfect.
You know? Yeah. That's the creative side.
Exactly. You know, checking grammar like 400 times and making sure that it was, you know, all that stuff.
Right.
And I sent it to Chris. And I think a day after, I had a reply in my inbox, and I almost didn't dare click the open email.
Yeah, you didn't want the thanks, but no thanks.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and you know, at the same time, like, what if he says yes? Then, you know, all of a sudden it's real, and so on and so forth. But he did say yes, and he said,
awesome.
Right, let's have a chat. And he actually, I think there was an attachment was the draft of a distribution contract in the first email.
Wow.
I was like,
so he was totally on board. And, you know, I don't know if you remember, but, you know, he started with the Mutant Chronicles Kickstarter. And right after the Mutant, he got the license to Mutant Chronicles. He's a huge gamer, you know, and then he did the Conan. He got the license with the Robert E. Howard Foundation. Yeah, and that's where he went skyrocketing.
Cthulhu as well. Yeah, exactly.
You know, and this is a guy working out of his garage, you know, and now he's running this decent company. And
I visited the office in London last summer, I think it was, because I wanted to go out over there and meet them, and I wanted to meet the guys from Games Quest who are doing the shipping and all that stuff. So unfortunately, he was not there because he was on his first vacation in I think 10 years or something, just on the days when I was there. So I haven't met him face to face yet, which is, but you know, but yeah, he's amazing, and the guys there are amazing. Such support,
always
such
nice.
love for what they do. Always nice, always helpful. So I couldn't be happier.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
I get points for running demos at conventions for them because, like I said, I'm a huge Conan fan, and I'm a huge Infinity and Mutant Chronicles. I run all their games, and I'm a big fan of the 2D20 system, and so I get points, and so I garner up enough of those free points, and then I usually use that to pay for my shipping when I place an order. So I usually,
of course,
a couple of every year or so, I'll place one big order with them. So you can bet in the next order there will be some Black Void stuff, which is awesome because I want.
We are looking into doing something similar as well. Yeah. To get people to play it in cons and so on and so forth.
And that's one of the big things I've always said is without GMs, you can have the greatest game in the world. It can be the most phenomenal game. But without an arbiter or a GM or a dungeon master, it's just another book sitting on a shelf.
It's not going, exactly. It's not going anywhere. And that's where, we're working on a lot of different avenues, really trying to push it.
Well, growth, right? Exponential.
Yeah, exactly. Well, hopefully, and we, the people that are into it are really, really into it and are really loyal and coming with suggestions. And like you said, our Discord is just a bunch of great people, and they're all playing it at cons and talking about it to their friends. Some are even buying the books and giving it as a gift, which is really awesome.
That's
as well.
Amazing. Yeah, that's a nice gift.
It's a heavy gift.
I love you this much. Feel the weight.
Exactly. This is 1.6 kilos of pure love.
That's right.
So yeah, and I want to reward that as well. So I'm thinking that's probably going to be done quite soon. So we're doing every little bit we can with the people that are involved in it.
Well, you're doing an amazing job, and your enthusiasm and your passion definitely comes across, and your personality, which I think is super awesome. A lot of times I've met game designers that are like, I am a game designer. You are not worthy to talk to me. And it's like,
I don't get that though.
Yeah, your game's not that good, buddy. Lighten up. Let Mr. Mean break you down a little bit, okay?
Yeah, exactly.
So
because we're all people, and it's about even if you have an amazing product, you're still a person,
Right. Yeah, you put your pants on just like I do,
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, but you are definitely not one of those. You are very humble and very polite, and just a pleasure to talk with. Not as nice as Andy, but close.
Well, nobody's as nice as Andy. That's.
I was just picking. So I think we've talked about everything. Is there anything else you wanna spout about?
I don't know, because I'm here to talk about Black Void. I'm not here to talk about all the other secret projects that I have in store.
Well, if you want to spill a secret, this is the place to do it. If you want, no pressure. No pressure.
There is a little second pet game that I'm working on a little bit on.
Tell me more. Well. No one's listening. All right, no one will see this, so it's just you and me.
And it's something that's sort of in stark contrast to Black Void, because it's a satirical RPG actually. Ooh. And it's kind of has a Napoleonic kind of vibe to it, so it's something completely different,
Excellent.
And I think as soon as Nebulous Skies is done, I think people are going to see something of that coming out as well.
If you need a playtester, let me know. I know a guy. I know a guy. And I'm familiar with NDAs. I have a really good friend that reads and writes contracts all day long.
Very cool. Yep. Yeah.
So
but there's some cool stuff there.
And I have a group. I have 5 players ready to go. They'll play anything I run.
Nice.
So, I can't be. And we play at my house every Friday.
I have made a note. I have playtester number 1 right there.
Woohoo! I feel privileged, sir, and honored.
And so do I.
There you go. Now it's getting late here, so I've got to put my little guy to bed. So I want to wrap it up, and I want to say just much love and thank you for coming on the show and speaking with Mr.
Thank you for having me.
Anytime. I would love. Maybe we can do it again after the Kickstarter to revel in the glow
I would be happy to.
Yeah,
sure.
I'd love to talk about the
Anytime and place.
Kickstarter process. I don't think enough people understand how much work it is, and too many people think, well, I gave you $50, where's my damn game? And it doesn't quite work that way.
No, it doesn't quite work.
It's
but
supposed
that's also
to.
one of the reasons that I put the add-on in there, because it's this close to done, which means that when the Kickstarter ends, I'm shipping it out to people who who've added that out. So it's instant gratification, because that's
I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try to back it. I'm gonna try.
Yeah, see if you can. If you can, I know you love it anyway. So that's
I'm already in. I'm all in right now. So like I said, I'm gonna put that order in for the dice because I'm a completionist, man. I gotta have everything.
Yeah, exactly. You gotta have.
That's the way I am, man. I'm a collector.
Yeah,
there's 30 years, man.
We're all dragons. We're hoarders, right?
That's right.
Even if we don't play the game,
we
gotta have them.
My house is trapped. If you try to come in, it's you gotta navigate.
Exactly.
Might be a black ooze floating down at the bottom of the stairs. You never know. So, well, Chris, thank you so much, sir. You are truly a treasure to talk to. I love your game. I love the concept. I can't wait to read more about it. And I'm going to try to get my group to play it as a one shot. What's the website? What's the name of the website?
blackvoidgames.com.
blackvoidgames.com. No dashes
Everything
or anything?
is Black Void Games. No, nothing. And it's the same across social media. It's always Black Void Games, one word. You can find us Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, everywhere.
And I know, like I said, we already talked about the Discord, but it is highly active, and you're very active in it. So if anybody's interested or has questions, they can feel free to pop on there and ask away, right? Yeah.
Join the Void Pharaohs.
That's right. Or jump on the Mr. Mean channel, and I'll point you in the right direction. So as always, Mr. Mean saying thank you very much. Peace and hair grease. Chris, we'll stop recording, but you can hang on the channel for a second. I'm going to get some information from you. So everybody else, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this little chat with Chris from Black Void Games. Go support the Kickstarter. Support your local game stores. Peace and hair grease. And remember, Mr. Mean says be nice.